So in this video, I will be doing a walkthrough of the Digital SAT Math Practice Test number 1, Module 1. So before we dive into it, let me introduce myself. My name is Azamat, and I have helped hundreds of students to prepare for the SAT. And I am a certified tutor in Schoolhouse. So without further ado, let's dive into it. So question number 1. Which frequency table correctly represents the data listed? So here we have to focus on two things. We have to focus on the number and the frequency of those numbers. If we look at these numbers, here we have number 4, and there are 4 of these. So we can easily eliminate choice D and C because in choice C, we don't have 16 of those. We only have 4 of those. And in choice D, we don't have a number 16. So the next number that we have is 8. And there are 3 of these. And B is incorrect. Why? Because we don't have a number 3. So B is incorrect. And the only choice that is correct is A. Let's move on to the question number 2. Which expression is equivalent to x squared plus 3x minus 40? So the best way to do it is to go through all these answer choices and find the correct one. So choice A, uh, x squared plus 10x minus 4x minus 40. And this will equal to x squared plus 6x minus 40. So this is not equal to this expression. So A is wrong. So choice B, x squared plus 8x. So I'm sure you know what we're doing. Like we are first multiplying x by x, then x by 8, then minus 5 by x, and then minus 5 to 8. So minus 5x minus 40. So this will equal to x squared plus 3x minus 40. So this is exactly the same as this expression here. So in the real exam, I would definitely choose B, and I'm not gonna bother myself looking at the other choices. Oh, sorry. So I'm not gonna bother myself looking at the other choices, but in this case, I'm gonna explain others as well. So choice C, x squared plus 5x minus 8x minus 40. And this will equal to x squared minus 3x minus 40. So in this case, it's minus 3, which is, here we have plus 3. So C is also wrong. Choice D, x squared plus 4x minus 10x minus 40. So this will equal to x squared minus 6x minus, I'm sorry, minus 40. This is also not the same as the equation, as the expression we have here. So D is also wrong. Let's move on to question number 3. Jay walks at a speed of 3 miles per hour and runs at a speed of 5 miles per hour. He walks for W hours and runs for R hours, for a combined total of 14 miles. Which equation represents this situation? So we know that his speed of walking is 3 miles per hour, and we can multiply that by W. W is the amount of hours he walks. So this one will be the number of miles J walks. 3 multiplied by W is the amount of miles J walks. So we're gonna plus 2R multiplied by 5. Why? Because 5 is the number of hours he runs, and this will equal to 14. So what I'm gonna do is to look at the answer choices and find the exact match of this. So A is exactly the same. Other choices don't fit here. So question number 4, in triangle ABC, the measure of angle B is 52 degrees and the measure of angle C is 17 degrees. What's the measure of angle A? So in this case, I'm gonna draw a triangle first. So here we have a triangle. I guess it's small, but still doesn't really matter for us. So A, B, and C. So the measure of B is 52 and the measure of C is 17. So you gotta keep in mind that always the number of degrees that a triangle will have is 180. If you combine all these angles, you will have 180. So to find the angle of A, what you gotta do is 180 degrees minus 52 plus 17. So here we have this one will be 69 and 111. So the answer is D. That's pretty easy, I hope. So question number 5. The graph represents the total charge in dollars by an electrician for X hours of work. The electrician charges a one-time fee plus an hourly rate. What's the best interpretation of the slope of the graph? So in this case, we have this graph and the text says that he charges a one-time fee, and one-time fee is y-intercept. What does y-intercept mean? You have to understand these things and you gotta visualize because in these kinds of situations, you gotta use some sort of imagination. So y-intercept is when it starts off the amount of money that the customer has to give to the electrician in this case, which is somewhere around here. So this is when the amount of hours that electrician worked is zero, right? The amount of hours he worked is literally zero. And in this case, he has to pay a one-time fee, and this is y-intercept. And now they're asking about the slope in this question. What is actually the slope? Slope is uh, what increases the price, in this case, for example. And what can increase the price? It cannot be a one-time fee when the amount of hours that he or she, like electrician, did, like is zero, but it's like the slope can be when the electrician works each hour. So that's why I'm looking for that sort of choice. I'm looking like for hourly rate. So choice A, the electrician's hourly rate, exactly. So the correct answer is A. B, the electrician's one-time fee, as I said, it's y-intercept. B is wrong. C, the maximum amounts that the electrician charges? No, it's more like a vertex. The total amounts that the electrician charges? No. So question number 6, it is a student-produced response question. So it's talking about color and shape for 100 tiles of equal area. Okay, so here we have 3 colors, red, blue, and yellow. And we have 2 types of shapes, square and pentagon. So what's the question? If one of these tiles is selected at random, what's the probability of selecting a red tile? So what you have to find is the probability of selecting a red tile. Red tiles. So we are asked for the number of red tiles divided by the total. So we don't care about the shapes, which are squares and pentagon in this case. So how many tiles are there? Red tiles? 30, right? And the total is 100. So 30 divided by 100 is gonna equal to 3 divided by 10. Let me write that here. Okay, question number 7. From a population of 50,000 people, that's a lot of people, right? Thousands were chosen at random and surveyed about a proposed piece of legislation. Based on the survey, it's estimated that 35% of people in the population support the legislation. So our prediction is that 35% of people just support that view, like legislation, with an associated margin of error of 3%. Based on these results, which of the following is a plausible value for the total number of people in the population who support the proposed legislation? So they're asking about the number of people in the population who are gonna support, right? You gotta understand margin of error in this case. Like, uh, what is actually a margin of error? It is, for example, if we estimate that 35% of people supports this legislation, if there is a margin of error of 3%, the percent of people who are gonna support it is gonna be between 32% and 38%. You might think, how are you getting all these numbers? What I'm doing essentially is 30, like I'm subtracting 3 from 25, 35. 35 minus 3 is going to equal to 32. And the maximum percent of people who are going to support the legislation is 35 plus 3. So it's going to be between these percentages. So we know that the population, there are 50,000 people in the of like in the population, right? So what we're gonna do is uh, yep, sure. I'm gonna write that here. 32% divided by 100% multiplied by 50,000 people. And this is going to be the minimum number of people who are going to support, and the maximum number of people who are going to support is 38 divided by 100% multiplied by 50,000. So I can use the Desmos graphing calculator because I have access to it, right? So you can use Desmos in your exam as well because it is a built-in calculator and you gotta take advantage of it. But if you have a physical calculator, I guess it would be easier. Like it will be faster, I guess. So in this case, I'm gonna use the Desmos here. 32 divided by 100 multiplied by 50,000. So here I have 16,000. So at least 16,000 people are going to support, right, the legislation. And the maximum number of people who are going to support is 19,000, as you can see here. So my predictions are for the correct answer choice is between 16,000 and 19,000. So let's have a look at the answer choices. C accurately matches this. C is correct, as you can see. Question number 8. What's the positive solution to the given equation? So there are essentially two ways of solving this. The first way is through Desmos. I believe that it's in this case, I would use Desmos. And the second way is through solving it manually. So let's first go ahead and go to Desmos calculator. And let's type the equation in. 55 divided by x plus 6 equals to x. And here we have two solutions, and they're asking about the positive solution. So I'm gonna zoom in a little bit. So as you can see, it's 5, right? As you can see here. So the answer would be 5. And there's also the second way of solving this, which takes a lot more time, but you gotta just know this because the reason why you're watching this video is to learn. So the second way is through, firstly, I'm gonna multiply by x plus 6 both sides, x plus 6, and I'm gonna make these, and I'm gonna get 55 equals x squared plus 6x. So I'm gonna minus 55 minus 55. So we'll have x squared plus 6x minus 55. And this will equal to 0. And then what I'm gonna do is there is a formula that you gotta use, that you can use to finding the solution, which is x equals minus b plus or minus. There is gonna be two solutions because of plus and minus. So in the square root of b squared minus 4ac. And this is all of them are divided by 2a. So firstly, I'm gonna find x1. And you gotta keep in mind that here, this one, 1 here is a, 6 is b, and minus 55 is c. So minus b would be minus 6 plus in the square root of 6 squared minus 4 multiplied by 1 multiplied by minus 55, and all of this is divided by 2a. And you're gonna get the solution, and the second one would be exactly the same, but you're gonna have minus here, okay? So for this moment, boot the like button. Yeah, I just want to like this video. So question number 9. An airplane descends from an altitude of 9,500 feet to 5,000 feet at a constant rate of 400 feet per minute. What type of function best models the relationship between the descending airplane's altitude and time? So the first thing that I'm noticing is these two numbers. It's going from 9,500 to 5,000. And this is decrease, right? So we can easily eliminate C and D because they're talking about increases. And the second thing that I'm looking at is at a constant rate. Constant means at the same rate, right? It's not gonna like decrease like something like this. It's gonna decrease something like this at the same rate. So there's gonna be zero acceleration. If you know the physics, you're gonna know what acceleration means. So the answer is B, is incorrect. So question number 10. Here we have the function of g of x. If the given function g is graphed in the xy plane where y equals g of x, what's the y-intercept of the graph? So Uh, so you first gotta know what y-intercept actually means. Like, so if we have a graph like this, here we have y and here we have the x coordinates. Let's say if x is like x equals to 0, what's the value of y, right? An initial points. So in this case, we gotta put 0 instead of x here. And there is another thing that you gotta know, which is, for example, it doesn't matter what number it is, like 9,900, like 7 in the power of 0 is always gonna equal to 1. X in the power of 0 is gonna equal to 1. It's like a rule. You can't like reject this. So 11 multiplied by 1 is gonna be 11, right? Hey, even if you didn't know what y-intercept actually means, you could easily find this like question correct. Why? Because all of these choices have 0 in the value of x. So let's move on to question number 11. Here we have a circle and it has a center O, and the length of this whole circle is 144 pi, and the diameters P and QS. Okay, so you also have to know one thing, like diameter equals to twice the radius. So the length of arc PS is twice the length of PQ. So let's say that here we have P and S, PS. This is gonna equal to 2x. And PQ in this case will be x. What's the length of RQR? And they're talking about the length of this part. So you gotta know the like the formula of circumference. It is the length of the whole circle. So in this case, if the length of arc PS is 2x, the length of arc QR is also gonna be 2x, and this one is gonna be x. So that would be easy, I believe. 2 plus 2, 4. 4 plus 1, 5. 5 plus 1, 6. So here we have 6x. If we like add all these, we're gonna get 6x. And this is gonna be equal to 144 pi. Pi. Oh, sorry if my handwriting is really bad. So x is gonna equal to, let me use the calculator for this case, for this section. So 144 divided by 6, 24. 24 pi. Don't forget the pi, means a lot. So what's the length of RQR? QR, it's 2x, right? The mistake that a lot of students do in this question is just they think that they found the answer and they just choose A. But don't, because you gotta pay attention to the question. The question is asking about QR, which is 2x. So you gotta multiply that by 2. So you get 48 pi. And the correct answer here is B. So let's move on to the next question. A rectangular has a length of x units and a width of x minus 15 units. If this triangle has an area of 76 square units, if the triangle has an area of 76 square units, what's the value of x? So you gotta know the formula of area. I believe you know, because it's easy. Like for those who might not know it, area equals to length multiplied by width. So the area is 76 square units, and this equals to x multiplied by x minus 15. So in this case, if I were in the real exam and I have this question, I would immediately go to, where do you think? Desmos. So here I have the Desmos. 76 equals to x minus 15. And I'm gonna zoom out a little bit, and because length cannot be negative, I'm gonna ignore the negative parts, and I'm mainly gonna focus on the positive part. So it's 19, as you can see. So x equals to 19. Let's go ahead and look at the answer choices. So B is correct. I hope you're understanding everything. So before we look at this question 13, I want you to click the button that says subscribe and turn on the notifications. This is going to be the best decision of your life because I'm going to be uploading tons of SAT videos and you're not going to miss out those. So let's continue. My personal recommendation is not to look at this table before reading this description. Rosa opened a savings account at a bank. The table shows the exponential relationship between the time t, so it's in years, since Rosa opened the account, and the total amount n in dollars in the account. If Rose made no additional deposits or withdrawals, which of the following equations best represent the relationship between t and n? So it's telling, the firstly, I'm going to break it down one by one. So it's telling that it is the exponential relationship. So what's the difference between a linear and an exponential relationship? So a linear relationship would be something like this. Okay, x plus b. What about the exponential one? It's gonna look like something like this. Y-intercept. You could, and then the 1 plus. So x in the power of time. T is time here. So in this case, we gotta understand the situation. So the situation is Rosa opened the account in the bank and she did not make any additional deposits over these times, over those years, and the amount of dollars is increasing at an exponential rate depending on the time. The amount of dollars that she has in her account, let me find, yeah, is not increasing at this kind of rate. It's increasing maybe like this, or maybe something like this. It's not at a constant rate. It's not at the same rate, right? So that's why we can't use this sort of formula in this case. So what we're gonna do is look at all these. So here we have 0, yes. It's when she opened the account, she had $604. And then after a year, she had $606.42. Then after 2 years, she has $608.84. So in this case, my honest advice to you is look at the options. I mean, don't bother yourself and have a hard time making the equation. So, A, as I said before, any number in the power of 0 is gonna be, so as I said before, any number in the power of 0 is gonna be 1. So in this case, that's why I'm gonna choose this. Oh yes, and I gotta have this amount of dollars. So instead of t, I'm gonna put 0, and here we get 1. It's not 604, right? A is wrong. So that's an easy check, right? Here we, as well, like 0, anything in the power of 0 is gonna equal to 1. So B is wrong. And let's have a look at C. 0, 604 multiplied by 1 is gonna equal to 604. That is correct, right? But still, let's have a look at choice D, right? Um, this one 0.004, and D is wrong as well. By the way, I forgot to tell you the equation of this thing here. So x here is x equals to the percent, I'm gonna write percent of increase divided by 100%. If it's decreased, you can put negative here, and you get the equation. And t is time, as I said, the y-intercept is the initial point. In this case, it's like 604. But still, if you, in like some complex situations, you might not have this sort of perfect, you can't formulate this sort of perfect expression. Don't worry, look at all the answer choices and find the best one. So question number 14. At how many points do the graphs of the equation y equals x plus 20, y equals 8x intersect in the xy plane? So I'm gonna rewrite this something like this: x, y equals x plus 20, y equals 8x. And in this case, because I've solved hundreds of thousands of these questions, I immediately look at it and choose the answer that says 1 point. But if you're beginner or intermediate level in this sort of SAT maths, I'm gonna teach you something. So if the if you have same slope and same y-intercept, then that means that there are infinitely many solutions. What if like there is same slope, different y-intercept? In this case, that would be 0 solutions. And if there are different slopes and different y-intercept, then that means there is one solution. So you gotta keep this in mind, and I recommend you to not learn this in the way that a lot of people tell you, just memorize. No, you don't have to memorize, you just have to visualize. So I'm gonna try to teach you how to visualize it. For example, in infinitely many solutions, is if we have a graph something like this, if this if there are two expressions and Both of these have the same slope. Slope means the increasing, yeah, the rate of increase. If it's the same, the next one, it also have the same y-intercept. So both of these are gonna lie here, right? They go this the same here, and as you can see, in each point there are intersections. Like they're infinitely many. You can't like count them. So the second scenario is, let me use stroke eraser. Yeah, it's gonna be better in this case. So if this if it has different y-intercept, for example, the first equation has an intercept y-intercept of here, and the other one has a y-intercept here. If they have the same slope, the rate of increase is the same. Example, this one, this one. It's also like this. Like if they have the same slope and the different y-intercept, they're not intersecting, right? If they're in the same like at the constants, right? And if there are different slopes, for example, this one is decreasing and the y-intercept is also different, for example, and this one is another the second graph, and it's actually increasing. So there's only one solution, as you can see, because there's one point at where it's they're like intersecting. So in this case, as you can see, we have different slopes, different y-intercepts. 20 and 0, they're different, right? So that's why there's only one point. Question number 15. So here we have some sort of equation. At a school fair, students can win colored tokens that are worth different number of points depending on the color. One student won G green tokens and R green tokens, worth a total of 380 points. The given equation represents this situation. How many more points is a red token worth more than a green token? Green token. So if this one G is a green token and this one R is a red token, what you have to do is just minus this from this, right? 40. So question number 16. The number of bacteria in a liquid medium doubles every single day. There are 44,000 bacteria in the liquid at the start of an observation, which represents the number of bacteria in the liquid medium T days after the start of the observation. So this is a perfect place where you can literally see the exponential equations. So as I said, there are two ways of solving it. You can just put 0 in the time section, as it's saying this at the start there were 44,000 bacteria, and you can put 0 instead of C, and you can find the correct answer, but you will end up with C and D. And then I'm gonna and then what is important is the rate of increase. It doubles, right? It doubles every day. So it's gonna be D. So that's easy. Question number 17. A cylinder has a diameter of 8 inches and a height of 12 inches. What's the volume in cubic inches of this cylinder? So, as I also mentioned earlier, diameter is 2r, like twice the radius. So radius is 4. And we know from here is that height is 12 inches. What's the volume of a cylinder? So I guess there is a formula in the reference part, but still I know the formula. Volume equals P r squared multiplied by h. So v equals pi multiplied by 4 squared multiplied by 12. So in this case, I can use a Desmos calculator to find it. So 4 squared multiplied by 12. 192 pi. Don't forget the pi, by the way, because it's so important. So the correct answer is C. Oh, sorry. So let's move on to the next question. Question number 18. Here we have two equations. So we ask for the value of y. So looking at this, what I can do is multiply by 3 the second equation. Okay. So 6. I'm gonna rewrite the first equation. 6x plus 7y equals 28. Second one, 6x plus 6y equals 30. And then I'm gonna minus this one. So these one are out and y equals minus 2 because 28 minus 30 is gonna be minus 2. So the answer is A. I hope everything is making sense. If you have any questions, you can comment down below. Okay? So question number 19. Okay, something. Okay. Question number 19. In triangle JKL, cosine of K equals 24 divided by 51, and angle J is a right angle. What's the value of cosine L? So I'm gonna share the secret strategy that I use in these sorts of sine cosine questions. That is SOHCAHTOA. So what does that mean is S here is sine opposite. O is opposite divided by hypotenuse. I'm not gonna write all this because it's gonna take a lot of time. And so this is that simple. So firstly, I'm gonna draw the triangle here. Trying to make it big enough. So I hope that's a little beautiful. So angle J is a right angle. So here it's 90 degrees and it's gonna be J. And I have K and here L. Okay. So cosine of K, well, here we have it, is 24 and the hypotenuse is 51. How am I getting it? I'm getting it from here. As I said, it's so easy to remember. I always say SOHCAHTOA, and that's it, man. And we have to find the value of cosine of L. Cosine of L is gonna equal to LJ divided by LK. So you also have to know the other thing as well. If you have this sort of triangle and you have the height, like this one is A, this one is B, and this one is C, there's a formula that you can use. A squared plus B squared equals C squared. So in this case, I'm going to use it to find LJ. So in the square root of 51 squared minus 24 squared. So it's going to equal to 45. So the cosine of L is going to equal to 45 divided by 51. And I'm going to write that in here. 45 divided by 51. I always recommend you to write in this sort of fraction form, in this sort of student-produced responses. So, question number 20. Here we have the function. The given equation defines the function f for what value of x does f of x reach its minimum. So there are two ways of solving it. The first way is through Desmos, right? That's the easiest and that's the fastest. And even in the real exam, if I had this sort of question, I would immediately go to Desmos and solve it. And the second way is through manual, like writing down and like solving all of this. And you gotta still know the formula, like it is a h minus x h squared is this one is x plus k. So in this case, h k is vertex. Vertex. So in this case, I'm gonna show you through Desmos. Okie dokie. Y equals 4x squared minus 50x plus 126. And we gotta find the minimum value. So here's it. And they're asking for the value of x when y is minimum. And it is 6.25. 6.25. Okay. Question number 21. In the xy plane, line L passes through the point O, and it is parallel to the line represented by the equation y equals 8x plus 2 if line L also passes through the points 3 and 100. What's the value of d? So if two lines are parallel to each other, that means that their slope is the same. That's y-intercept is different. So in this case, we know that from this line L, the equation of line L is going to be y equals 8x plus b. And they're also mentioning that when x equals to 0, it's going to be 0. So we don't have, we have a y-intercept and it's going to equal to 0, which means almost nothing, right? So we gotta put 3 instead of x to find the solution, to find d, and this one will equal to 24. And the answer is 24. So simple, I believe. In the xy plane, a line with equation 2y equals c for some constant intersects a parabola at exactly 1 point. If the parabola has the equation like this, what's the value of c? So I'm gonna write it like this. I'm gonna write all of this here. 2 minus 2x squared plus 9x equals to c minus 4x squared plus 18x equals to c. So minus 4x squared plus 18x minus c equals to 0. And here thing, we have to find c, right? Remember that the text says that it intersects at exactly 1 point. And I'm gonna tell you one thing. If discriminant equals to 0, there will be one solution or 1 point. If the discriminant is more than 0, then That would mean that there are two solutions. If discriminant is less than 0, that means that there are 0 solutions. So in this case, it's telling that there is exactly 1 point. So that means that discriminant equals to 0. But what is discriminant equal to? Discriminant equals to b squared minus 4ac. So 0 is going to equal to 18 squared minus 4 minus 4. This one is minus c. So in this case, you're going to plus 16c to both sides. And you can get rid of 16 at c here, and you will have 16c equals to 324. And in this case, I'm gonna use Deadmos to find the value. So 324 divided by 16, and I will get 81 divided by 4. And I already wrote that. If you want the PDF version of all of these explanations, you can click into the